Hi Nadine, welcome to Kensington Palace and thank you for coming to see our new exhibition Live Through a Royal Lens.
It's absolutely delight to be here, and it's an amazing exhibition to mark and be part of the Queen's Jubilee celebrations, because of course our Queen is the longest serving monarch on the throne ever, and this exhibition goes right back to the first royals to have been photographed. So to look at her life through the time from being born to now, and the way we take photographs and the way the royal family are presented, it's all here and it's quite something to see.
Oh, well, thank you for that. And yes, you're right. I mean, we chart the Queen's life right from being a little dot photographed by Marcus Adams right up until today. And what I wanted to show you was this piece by the light artist Chris Levine, because it really goes to the heart, I think, of what we're saying in the exhibition. And actually that is that in many respects, the content of royal photographs hasn't changed that much since Queen Victoria and Prince Albert first experimented with the technology in the middle of the 19th century. But actually it's the technology, the evolving technology that they've embraced and they've used to shape their public image and to show themselves to be a modern, progressive institution.
And that's so interesting, isn't it? Because the content hasn't changed. And the development of the technology, you can see way back, they were already touching up photographs a long time ago, cinched in waists, flawless complexions. Yeah. So it's really interesting to see how the technologies have developed over the years.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's really key. And Chris Levine said about this piece that regardless of the content, the language was modern. And what he meant by that was that what we have here in many ways is quite a traditional royal portrait. So we can see, you know, the Queen front on, royal jewellery, ermine draped around her neck. And in many ways, it reminds me of a kind of medieval kingly portrait. But it's taken in hologram, or actually using a lenticular print, which is this, well, at the time, it was made in 2004, was a very new technology. It was really cutting edge. And so it shows her willingness to kind of embrace new technologies and to have her image created in the most up to the minute modern photographic technology.
And that goes right back to that iconic photograph at the coronation that was used on the stamps and everything else, which was in itself the very first kind of official portrait photograph as Queen and her succession was iconic in itself. It's the one we all recognise, and it's the one that you can correct me if I'm wrong here, that even Andy Warhol used in some of his work. It's just the modern presentation of the royal family is something they obviously thought about.
Really considered, absolutely. And like you say, that picture was taken by a photographer called Dorothy Wilding. And you'll notice that in that, she's also wearing George IV's diamond diadem, which she's wearing here. And that's a real, a pattern in how royal photography works. There are these key images, pieces of jewellery that create a continuity from one generation to the next. But by engaging with new technologies in creating the image and also in spreading the image, they're very active on social media, on Instagram and things today, it allows them to really stay relevant, up to date and in touch with a contemporary audience, whilst also sort of showing the long history of monarchy.
And they're also symbolic, aren't they? You look at what she was wearing in 1937 to look at what she's wearing today. I mean, it's remarkable what the Queen has lived through and seen through in her lifetime. And what we can see in the photographs are those kind of, those, as you say, those set pieces, those symbolic pieces who carried through with her in the photographs. What I've been really interested in is looking back at Queen Victoria here too, and the story you told me about Prince Albert, who had his photograph taken. And it was done by a different process, which was almost on a mirror using chemicals, but it was very unstable. And it was kept in a glass case because it was so unstable. And she kept that glass case in a red leather purse and carried it around with her. But of course, he died when they were 42. So she carried that around for many years. And that photograph slowly disintegrated over those years, which is, I think, hugely emotional, but symbolic too. Because as he faded, the photograph faded too. I just find that quite something, that a photograph, one of the first photographs taken of Prince Albert, that in itself was so symbolic, just in that one photograph.
Yeah.
And we've got these iconic photographs today of the Queen, which themselves won't fade, but will last long into the future.
Yeah, absolutely.